Hey guys, what is happening? Welcome back and thank you for tuning in once again. Today we're going to be doing a gear breakdown of the equipment that we used for the Cheetah film in Namibia. I wanted to show you the rig that I used, how I put it together and why I use it. It's all about being practical, lightweight, functional, and it gives you consistent results every time. So I'm going to break it all down, lay it out, go through the little bits and pieces, and then I'm going to put it back together and give you guys a couple of tips and tricks of how to make sure that you can get the best performance from your Ronin. So let's jump straight into it. The camera system that I used for this shoot was the Sony A7S3. The reason why I chose this camera is because it's lightweight. It's not going to be killing my lower back or my arms. I want to be able to operate all day long. The lens that I chose is the Sigma R24-70. It's got a nice range to it, as well as it's a 2.8, so if I want to separate my subject from the background, I can do that by using a shallow depth of field. So that's the system that I used. So the filters that I used on this shoot was the Polar Pro Peter McKinnon variable NDs. There are two of them. There's a 2 to 5 and then there's a 6 to 9 stop. The reason why I'm using these is because they're lightweight, they screw straight onto the lens. They allow me to control the light, so I want to take advantage of that shallow depth of field, the 2.8 lens, and I want to still maintain a nice motion blur throughout my frame, so keeping my shutter speed low, and that's the reason why I use these. Can highly recommend them. They're amazing products. So yeah, if you can get yourself a set of these, you'll be good to go. Next up, we have the DJI Ronin S. This is the product that I used to get all these tracking shots. It gives you a really nice smooth image, and the reason why I chose the smaller gimbal over the bigger ones is because this one is lightweight. Again, it's not going to kill my arms, it's not going to kill my back. I can use it all day long. It's easy to set up and break down, and again, yeah, it's lightweight. You can throw it into my backpack, we can hike up a mountain, we can do all the things with it. So yeah, definitely one of my top choices when it comes to working with gimbals, operating off the vehicle and in the field. There's a couple of extras that I have, like the small rig articulating arm, which is just an extra arm that comes out on the side. It gives you a little bit more control. It feels more stable this way. That is also a product that I love using, and when I'm doing underslung, I can actually grip it over here, but I'll show you guys that in a little bit. So that's a little extra that I buy, and the other extra that I have is a Tilta Magic arm. It's just an articulating arm that is easy to move around. The monitor is sitting on there. I can flip it around any which way I want. Moving on from the Ronin, we've got the Atomos Ninja V external monitor. It's also a recorder, so you can record raw onto it from the Sony. I use this when I'm in underslung mode with my Ronin, so I can see what the camera is seeing. There's no way when my camera's down here and I'm operating in the field and it's hot and I'm sweaty that I can see what's on the tiny little screen of the Sony A7S. So yeah, this is a must-have for me, and it's easier to maintain a really amazing consistent shot, especially when you're moving with the Ronin. So yeah, would highly recommend getting one of these. You don't have to get the Atomos. There's plenty of other monitors that you can use, but this is the one that I chose and it works for me. So now that you guys have the lowdown of what all this is, I'm going to put it all together and I'm going to show you what my process looks like of putting it all together. The reason why I say process is because I use the same process every single time I build this rig, because the more consistent I am with that, the more consistent my results are going to be. Find what works for you and stick to that, because consistency is key out in the field. The very first thing that I do before I actually start putting this rig together is I get my camera ready. I put the filter on, I put my HDMI cable in, because you want the camera to be at its final weight before you actually put it onto the Ronin. So I'm going to do that very first. Then I'm going to build the Ronin, then I'm going to put on the monitor, and then once everything is set up, I'll show you guys how I use everything to my advantage. Alright, so now that I've put the whole rig together, you guys can kind of see and get a good idea of how I like to have the whole thing set up. I've got my small rig extra arm, I've got my magic arm for the monitor. That's all set up. This is the way I like it. Make sure that your filter is on, make sure your HDMI cable is in, all the little bits and pieces that needs to be on the camera, get it on there. You don't want to be changing out the weight because it will throw the balance of the gimbal off. So we put it onto the Ronin, find a nice balance. I am just going to plug the cable into the monitor, switch the Ronin on. Everything seems perfect. The balance of the Ronin seems quite nice. It's not freaking out, it's not shaking, and it's ready to rock and roll. So I just want to say one or two things about the monitor. The monitor is not only there to see what you are shooting, but it's also there to see what your final exposure is going to look like for post. So I load my LUTs onto here, my personal ones, so that I know that when I get to post and I put that LUT onto there, I'm already at quite an advanced stage in my grade, because that specific LUT I'm going to be using in post-production, and it just speeds up my workflow. I just want to share a few things about the Ronin with you guys, how I use it out in the field. In most instances, people are using the Ronin pretty much at eye level, maybe slightly lower, and every now and again very low to the ground. For me, as a wildlife filmmaker, I want to be as low to the ground as possible. If I can be a few centimeters or inches off the ground, that is ideal for me, because it gives me that unique perspective. It immerses me down into the animal's world, and it just feels like it's almost an impossible position or shot to be in, and it creates the whole immersive feeling. So now that I've gone underslung with my camera, you can see what it looks like. You can see how the monitor is sitting. I can see what I'm shooting. I can move. It's very easy to operate. It's nothing overly complicated. But the reason why I love shooting underslung is because I can get down into the animal's world. I can be centimeters or inches off the ground and looking up at the animals, and that immersive feeling that you're getting from down there is better than looking down or even eye level with an animal. So I want to be as low down as possible. So when I'm low down, I don't want to be bent over and breaking my back and walking like an old man. I want to be really solid, moving nice and smooth with the animal at all times, and just having really nice control with the Ronin, either like this, or if I have it over here, I can also easily move it around. So always nice and smooth movements is what I'm going after, and also keeping my speed consistent. The more consistent you are with your movements and your speed, the better your shot's gonna look and the more fluid it's gonna look. So this is what I wanted to show you guys, is how I put the whole rig together, how I use it to my advantage. It's practical, it's lightweight, it gives me consistent results, which is the most important. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be doing more equipment breakdowns in the future. If you haven't seen the behind the scenes of how we use this rig out into the field, please click the link over here and go watch the video that Jacques behind the camera put together for us. It's an amazing video, and it shows how it is being used in action in the field. Until next time, please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next week.